Hey there, Sharon Peterson here, and I am in my greenhouse today working. It is a beautiful Sunday afternoon, and I decided to just come out and just pedal around, and it's just relaxing for me to come out here and do this kind of stuff. So I'm going to be doing something new, so I thought I would shoot a video. I'm going to be starting beet seeds in the greenhouse rather than just directly in the ground. I saw this on YouTube on gardening channels, actually several different gardening channels. It seemed like a really good idea. The theory is if you start the beet seeds early, then you can, it's really easy to just thin them in your trays if you need to, if you have too much. And then when you put them into the ground in the garden, you don't have to do so much thinning out in the garden. Beets and carrots are two things that are notorious for needing to be thinned, otherwise they're too crowded and then your vegetable, your roots don't get as big. I did go ahead and seed some in the ground as well, but then I'm going to try this too. It's a nice thing about gardening is you can experiment and see what works for you. What I have today are just, these are just Detroit dark red beet seeds. I got these from, actually they were given to me. A couple of years ago, somebody contacted me and said they have a whole bunch of seeds that they weren't going to be using and wanted to know if I wanted them. Like, well, yes, of course I do. So anyway, these are from Baker Creek. Is a bulk lot. They're actually on the old side. In fact, they're 9 years old. This is from 2013. It's 2022. Do my math right. Since they're on the old side, I'm going to go ahead and sow them a little heavy just in case I don't get as much germination. But I used them last year and I had no issues at all. They germinated just fine. I've got some in the garden right now that are starting to come up. They just started, 2 days ago. And so I'm not too worried about it. Baker Creek is got pretty good seeds, and so this is what we're going to use. As far as soil for my seedlings, a lot of people really recommend buying the seed starting do they call it seed starting mix? I just use potting mix. Potting mix. I don't use soil from the garden, but I do use a potting mix. It's still light and fluffy enough that the seedlings can come up through. It's a little coarser than a seedling mix that you can buy, but it's a whole lot cheaper. And it's what I use. I've never had any issues, and so you might want to consider doing that. This is what I use. This is the Miracle-Gro brand. You don't have to use Miracle-Gro. Use whatever brand you prefer. I always take it and I dump it out into like a big tub like this. It just makes it easier to get it to work with rather than trying to dig down in the bag. And then here's another quick money-saving tips. I am going to be seeding, and I've done this with some other things as well, in these old egg cartons. These styrofoam egg cartons, I hate them. I wish they didn't make styrofoam stuff, but I decided I'm going to go ahead and use it twice, and we're going to get some seedlings in here. For these, I'm okay with using these. The only negative about doing this is the cells are really small, and so these will go out into the garden fairly soon. If I were starting tomato seeds, they have to stay in the greenhouse for a lot longer, and so I would rather have a little bit of a bigger container for those. In fact, what I usually do with my tomatoes and stuff is I will start them in these solo cups. But beet seeds, they're going to go out in the garden fairly soon, so I'm going to go ahead and do this. So the first step is I go ahead and I just put potting soil in here. It's damp, just so that it's level like this. And then I'm going to try, and I'm going to put like probably, I'm going to shoot for 4 seeds per cell-ish, right about in there. And then that way, if some don't germinate, we've still got beets in there and it's not a problem. That is another thing that I saw, that beets, I've always been particular about getting them thinned to where we got one beet kind of grown individually, but apparently beets will grow in little clusters and they work just as fine. And so, hey, the less thinning and messing around with them I have to do, the better. And so we're going to give it a shot. So let me go ahead and get my beet seeds in here. Oh, other thing I forgot to tell you. Make sure that you poke a hole in the bottom of these. I just took a knife and went down in each cell because it has to be drainage. And then another thing you can do is the flap. I just cut that off, and then you can use that as a tray to set that in so that any water will drain into that little mini tray. Okay, so why don't I go ahead and just do a close-up, see if I can do this one-handed of planting my beet seeds. So you can see I just put soil in here. This is potting soil. I'm just going to go ahead and push down on each cell just to make sure it's nice and compacted. Just a little bit of a dip kind of in the middle of each. Now I'm not like really cramming down hard, but and then I'm going to take my beet seeds and I'm going to shoot for getting 2 or 3 in each cell. Oops, that one got a bunch. We'll come back to it. Okay, that looks good. So then I take a little handful of soil and just put it over the top. And just make sure all those seeds are covered up just by a little bit. They don't need to be real deep. A little bit more. Okay, there we go. And I just have a bottle of water here. I'm going to just kind of drizzle it all over. If you have a spray bottle, that works too. And now I'm going to put a marker in that so I don't forget what's in there. And then that's it. And then once those come up, I'll get them put out in the garden and I'll take another video at that point. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you're going to give it a try too and how it works. And you guys have a great day. We'll talk to you in the next video.